But don't get too excited. If the experts and the polls are to be believed, then the Conservatives are going to sweep this election, Theresa May is going to stay the Prime Minister, and it's going to be a very anticlimactic election. But after a year of Trump and Brexit and the experts and polls saying neither of those things are actually going to happen, who knows how this election's actually going to go down. And here we are. Hung Parliament. Before we get into the main bit of the video, here's my quick take on this election. This wasn't a fantastic result for the country. Yes, it was great to see that we now have a strong opposition, but our government is a mess with no strong leadership and a terrible coalition. Theresa May called this election primarily for her own party's interests, and I believe it's a classic case of party over country, and it has monumentally backfired. And I honestly think she should have resigned before the sun came up on June the 9th. I try to stay away from list type videos, but the format is far too effective to give up for this video. So with that said, here are 8 things we learned from this snap election. Number 1, you can never, ever, 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 ever trust the polls in the UK. You can't trust the political polls at all. In 2015, they way underestimated the Conservatives' win. In the EU referendum, they said it was going to be close, but that Remain would win. At the start of this election, the polls showed that the Conservatives were 17 points up against Labour and were poised to win around 400 seats. Now yes, the polls did decline throughout the election, but even the final polls had an average margin of error of 4 points. And you compare that to the US polls, that's pretty big. With that said, Theresa May's campaign brings us on to our second point. The Conservatives had I'm sorry, it's too warm. It's the summer here, it is so warm. The Conservatives arguably had the worst campaign I have ever seen in any political election in my entire life. They couldn't successfully campaign to raise money for a 3-legged puppy, let alone win seats in Parliament. It was a complete shambles. In less than 8 weeks, their campaign managed to do a U-turn on a major policy known as the dementia tax. Theresa May didn't want to show up to any of the debates, including just a one-on-one with the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn. And Theresa May could never seem to connect with the voters. This is perfectly summed up by this clip, which was just begging to become a meme.
What's the naughtiest thing you ever did?
Oh, goodness me. I have to confess, when me and my friends sort of used to run through the fields of wheat, the farmers weren't too pleased about that.
Come on, the internet had a field day with that one. Pun intended. I genuinely can't think of another campaign that was run as badly as this one. Apart from maybe Jeb Bush's.
Of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Moving on to number 3. The youth vote put down their fidget spinners and headed to the polls. According to YouGov, 57% of 18 to 24-year-olds voted, which is up from the estimated 43% turnout in 2015. Looks like my video that got 57 views really encouraged those youth voters. And as an age group, they overwhelmingly voted to cut tuition fees. Labour. They voted Labour, as my incredibly professional research and interviews discovered.
Who'd you vote for?
Jeremy Corbyn!
Corbyn.
Corbyn. Corbyn.
Ah, that was fun. Number 4. One of the greatest things about our democracy here in the UK is that any citizen can run for any seat in Parliament under any name of their choosing. Citizens occasionally take up this freedom and often run in seats that are also being contested for by the party leaders. Basically any seat that's going to get them on TV. So take a look at this.
Harvey Jonathan David, known as Lord Buckethead, 249. Hill.
It's just something else, isn't it? What a democracy we have here. So now the Conservatives are likely to form a formal or informal coalition to make up the number of seats they need in Parliament to become a majority. So they basically go around to the other parties like, hey, want to form a government? They needed 8 seats and the DUP had 10. It was a match made in hell. I know. Who the actual flying fandango are the DUP? Oh, settle in for this. The DUP stands for Democratic Unionist Party. They're one of the major parties of Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland's that bit of island at the top there that actually belongs to the UK. Just don't ask, it's a long story. How does one sum up the DUP? To be honest, I don't think anybody's put it any better than the guys on the last leg.
The DUP were founded by the Reverend Ian Paisley in 1971. They have had links to terrorism in the past. They are anti-abortion, against same-sex marriage, and a number of their senior members are creationists.
Oh, and they're divided on climate change as well. So what is a conservative DUP? Sorry. So what does a conservative DUP partnership look like? We don't know yet. We will find out when all the talks and deals are done. But to cheer you up from that depressing news, here is Jeremy Corbyn giving arguably the most awkward failed high five in British history. Take a look. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. And they just keep clapping. They just keep on clapping. It's common for the leaders of parties that don't do that well in elections to step down after the election is over. Get the hint, Theresa May? So UKIP didn't do too well in this election. In fact, they got zero seats. So let's talk about Paul Nuttall. Sorry, I've done it again. I'm so sorry. It's just a slip of the tongue. It's just what happens. Let's hear from Paul Nuttall, the UKIP leader. Spoiler alert. He's not the leader anymore.
However, it will not be with me as its leader. I am standing down today as the leader of UKIP with immediate effect.
Yes! Come on, this is What's that? Oh, there's a clip you think I should see before I start celebrating?
And if Brexit is in some trouble, will you come back into active politics and fight for what was voted for only last summer?
I would have absolutely no choice but to do exactly that.
No. 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 No, 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 no. Moving on to our first past the post system of voting that we have here in the UK. It is by no means perfect, and our recent elections have proved that point. Back in 2015, the Conservatives gained 37% of the vote, which got them a majority in government by a landslide. It was known as a landslide election. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? 63%, the majority of the population, voted for other parties. And so if we follow this logic, and this logic alone, we would expect that in this 2017 election, the Conservatives couldn't have got anywhere near 37% of the vote. I mean, in 2015, they got a majority with 37% of the vote, and so now that 2017 ended in a hung parliament, they couldn't have got anywhere near 37% of the vote. Right? Nope. On June the 8th, the Conservatives gained 42% of the vote. Now, I'm not giving any solutions to our first past the post system, I'm just bringing it into question. If you have any thoughts on our voting system here in the UK, I'd genuinely love to hear them, so please comment below. And finally, number 8. Tim Farron chose faith over life as a political leader.
There are Christians in politics who take the view that they should impose the tenets of their faith on society. But I have not taken that approach because I fundamentally disagree with it. It is not liberal, and actually it's counterproductive when it comes to advancing the gospel. Even so, I seem to have been the subject of suspicion because of what I believe and who my faith is in which case we are kidding ourselves if we think we yet live in a tolerant, liberal society. And that's why I have chosen to step down as leader of the Liberal Democrats. are needed more than ever before. That is the challenge. Our party, what would lead me to voluntarily relinquish that honour? In the words...
Can someone turn the phones? Why are there so many phones ringing? They're not calling him to congratulate him about the election, I can tell you that. Not being that religious myself, I can't comment on how being religious in politics would be. I'm not in politics either, so I really can't comment. But I am sad to see him go, because there were still so many jokes left to be made. But let's just end on this footage of Tim Farron attempting to make his way down a moving bus.
Just leaving Kendal, Tim Farron, the Lib Dem leader's constituency, on a way actually, Isabel, north of the border to Scotland, where the Lib Dems are focusing on trying to gain back some of those seats they lost 2 years ago at the last general election, focusing on...
Tintin, you will be missed. So what's happening in Parliament now?
Mr. Speaker-elect, on behalf of the whole House, may I congratulate you on your re-election. At least someone got a landslide.
Resign. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And don't worry, the next video won't be a political one. I'm done with political videos for now. See you in the next video.